Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Got Rid of the Kyuubi, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Over the next few days Naruto spent some time with Kurenai and Temari and all three loved it, but since it started to draw attention from not only Kurenai teammates but others as well, they had to stop with their secret meetings at Temari home. Naruto was walking down the street after having lunch when he heard a couple of men talking. A taller one said, "Did you hear? They're about to do it again." The shorter of the two said, "I know. I wonder who will get rich off these poor genins or who will go broke, making them lose all their money at poker." Naruto ear twitched and turned and said, Excuse me, but I heard the word poker when I was passing by. Is there a gambling house here somewhere?" The taller one looked at Naruto and saw the headband and said, "Well, not officially, but downtown there is a bar called Dryron, and the owner of the bar and a few other places in town have a poker tournament there every time the Chunin exams come around. You should stay away if you don't want to lose your money." Naruto said, "Thanks, but I think I might check it out," as he turned and headed for the downtown part of the village. After about 30 minutes he found the place and walked in and walked to the bar and said, "I want a bottle of sake." The bartender looked at Naruto and said, "Go away, kid." Naruto smirked and said, "Kid, look right here, buddy, you see this? It marks me as an adult and as such I want a drink. My sensei always said old enough to kill, old enough to drink, old enough to F, and truer words have never been spoken, so give me the damn bottle," as he pointed to his high eight. The owner looked at Naruto and said, "That will be $20, kid." Naruto pulled out his wallet, purposely flashing the cash, and laid the money on the counter and took the bottle and said, "So is there anything exciting in this town to do besides sweep sand out of everything?" The owner looked at Naruto and said, "Well, if you're interested, my buddies and I usually have a poker game every once in a while. You know how to play." Naruto took a big gulp of the bottle, purposely making himself cough, and said, "Well, I saw my sensei play it and I remember what wins and what don't, but I never actually played myself." The owner smiled and said, "Well then, if you're old enough to drink, you're old enough to play. Why don't you go over there to the corner and drink you sake while I call my friends over for a game?" Naruto said, "Give me one more for the road then, bud," as he laid another $20 on the counter and took it, already swaying a little as he walked to the counter, taking another hug gulp and coughing. The owner quickly had one of his waiters run and get 3 of his friends, and it took about 20 minutes for them to get there, and after watching them chat a moment in private, or at least tried to, but Naruto enhanced senses heard every word as they planned to try and fleece him for everything he had. Naruto finished the first bottle while he waited and was halfway through the second when they walked over and he said, "Gretzings felses. We readzy to play." They all look at each other and the owner said, "Sure, kid, this is my buddy Anton, Brook, and Felser and Imtrand. Who might you be?" Naruto said, "Narcissistia Azumixes. I can't sesum to talks right, just calls me Fox." Brook sat down and said, "So we hear you're new at this, huh?" Naruto said, "I sain it's placed befosras ans gnosis what's win bust neversar plays," as he finished off his bottle. Trans said, "Well, we only play for cash and no limits, you understand." Naruto nods and pulls out his wallet and said, "Deals." Felser took out a deck of cards and shuffled them and said, "Cut them, kid." Naruto already saw the trick he pulled by having a deck with all the aces corner cut, pulled a kunia out and faster than they saw cut the corners of all the cards and said, "I cut them," as he swayed a little. Anton said, "No, like this," cursing to himself as that was their loaded deck ruined now, as he showed how to cut the cards right. Naruto cut it 4 times and stacked them, and Felser said, "All right, the game is 5-card draw, juices wild." Naruto nods and watches as they all pass out the cards, and he sees Trand has a pair of deuces up his sleeve, and Naruto looks at his hand and sees he has a pair of jacks, and Anton said, "I bet $50. Naruto was next and said, "I raise its BYS $200, as he laid $250 on the table. Everyone calls and Naruto throws the 3 odd cards in his hand away and he gets another jack, and using a quick replacement sent both his odd cards to Trand's sleeve. Having gotten down to the point replacement was both sealess and smokeless in his training sure helps. Tran switches his cards and goes wide-eyed as both his juices are gone, and Naruto said, I raise $500, as he sets more money on the table. Since Tran would be last, all his buddies call and Tran folds, shocking them all, and Naruto shows and said, 5 jacks. Since no one had a better hand, Naruto took in the pot. Anton cuts a look at Tran, who shakes his head, and Naruto said, I guess it's my turn, as he shuffles the cards and said, would you like to cut? Tran, a little more sober than he was before. Tran nods, taking the chance to put the 2 cards back in the deck. Naruto sees this and smirks, as he knew that was 2 aces down for them. He then looks around and after some quick work shuffles the cards, making it where each of them would get 4 of a kind, and he said, alright, nothing wild this time, as he passes out the cards. Tran started first this time, seeing 4 tens, and said, I bet 500. Anton, who has 4 queens, said, I raise you 200. Brook, who has 4 kings, said, I call. Felsa said, I call also, having 4 jacks. Naruto looked at his hand and said, I raise by 5,000, making them all look at him shocked. Each of them look at their hands and said, call, as they think they got the best hand. Naruto nods and said, okay, who needs how many, as he picks up the deck. Each of them threw away 1, including Naruto, and Tran said, check. Each of the others said, check, until it was Naruto's turn, and he said, I raise by, as he pulled out all the cash in his wallet and counted it, and then said, 100,000, as he sets all the money in the pot. Each of the men look at each other, and Anton said, I don't have that kind of cash on me. Would you mind spotting me alone? Naruto thought and said, what you got for interest? Anton thought and said, how about this bar? Naruto thought and said, all right. What about the rest of you Elsas, sounding just a little bit drunk agent? Felsa said, I don't have that kind of cash either. Naruto scrunches his noses and said, let me guess, none of you have that kind of cash available, so you each want a loan, huh? Well, I remember my sensei encountering this problem before, but how did he solve it? Oh yeah, I know. Are you all business owners like Anton here? Each of them nod, and Naruto said, all right, here is the deal. Since you all are in the same boat, I will make an offer. I have in my possession an item that is worth more than 10 times the amount of money in the pot. I have it in this scroll here. Setting a scroll from his vest on the table, we will finish this handout as a winner takes all deal. If I win, I get all of your businesses, and you each work for me for 5 years at standard pay, and then have the option of buying your business back for half the price of the debt, which is 50,000. However, if you win, you each get this pot and my item of value. It's a win-win situation for everyone who wins the pot, unless you want word to spread to all the other villages how you 4 have been playing with marked cards and cards up your sleeves, as well as the mirror behind me, as he punches the wall that had a cloth fall and a mirror shatter. Each of the men thought and said, fine. Naruto nods and pulls out a blank scroll and started to write out the deal, and he said, read it and sign it. Each of the men looked it over, and seeing that they can't steal property from the businesses or have to pay the total amount of the items stolen plus the difference of the business property, signed it, and Naruto signed it as well and said, now just in case you fellow think that this is not legitimate, here is what is the item that is so valuable, unsealing the scroll and pulling out a stamp ring. Naruto said, this stamp ring was given to me by the Kazekage as proof of me being his future son-in-law, meaning that when I put this stamp on the docent it is backed by him, making each of the men wide-eyed. Naruto put the stamp on the paper before sealing it with a blood seal and putting it in his vest and said, all right gentlemen, call. When each of the men showed their cards, Naruto won, and he said, it's a pleasure doing business with you, and I do not want to hear about this scam agent, or I will have the village ABNU arrest each of you. Now have a good day, and I will come by and inspect each of the businesses over the next month. If you had been fair in the cards, I would not have broke you like I did. As he gathered his winnings before he walked away, leaving 4 crying men. After a little searching, Naruto found the 2 men who told him about the racket, and he smiled and said, hey guys, remember me? Look, I wanted to say thanks for warning me about those guys. The taller one said, so you didn't play? That's good. Naruto said, no, I played and took them to the cleaners. I now own all 4 of their businesses. I just wanted to say thanks, as he handed the 2 men around $10,000 before walking away. Turns out Naruto now owned a bar, a restaurant, the Hotel Sandstorm he is at, as well as ceramic tile store. Naruto was on his way back to his hotel when he saw a weapon shop and he decided to visit it. As he walked in, he saw an old man with a scar on his cheek behind the counter who smiled and said, "What can I get for you, kid?" Naruto said, "I was wondering if you could make forehead protectors with village insignias." The man smiled and said, "If you have the insignia I can look at, no problem." Naruto nods and said, "I need around 30 of these," pulling his whirlpool insignia off and setting it on the counter. The man smiled and looked down at the symbol before palling and asked, "Where did you get this, kid?" Naruto said, "It's mine." "Why?" The owner said, "Don't lie to me, kid. Whirlpool has been destroyed for over 10 years. Naruto said, "I know. My mother ordered everyone to flee and hide and now I am trying to find them all," as he got serious. The owner looked at Naruto and asked, "What's your name, kid?" Naruto said, "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." The owner remained calm but asked, "Do you have any proof you're an Uzumaki?" Naruto said, "Well, I got this." As he raised his arm showing the dragon tattoo, and the owner fell on his butt and said, "Son of AB. Who was your mother, kid?" Naruto said, "Kushina Uzumaki." The owner said, "The Raisenkage. Is she still with us?" Naruto looked down and said, "No, she was made shortly after giving birth to me. Now me and one of my cousins are all that remain of the Uzumakis. I am planning on tracking her down while I look for the other Whirlpool Ninja and try to unite them." The owner looked down and said, "I see. Why are you trying to gather the Whirlpool Ninja?" Naruto said, "A storm is coming. It is still building, but it will take all lands, leaving nothing but destruction. I am gathering all of Whirlpool to aid the allies my mother sided with before her death. Namely Suna and Konoha. I take it you are either from Whirlpool or had dealings with them." The man said, "I was a chunin when your mother sent the word to flee. It was only the promise that we would one day unite that held me together until I came here." Naruto said, "So how do you feel about joining Suna and Konoha as allies, agent?" The man said, "I don't know. Who would we be facing?" Naruto said, "Iwa is for sure, Cloud most likely, Rain is a possibility, but Thea all secretly gathering and training for now. We have estimated that we are currently outnumbered 15-1, and by the time Iwa's ready it's going to be closer to 30-1. The man sat quietly for a moment and said, "Who is going to be the leader of Whirlpool?" Naruto said, "For now, until I can gather enough of her people together to choose a new Kage, I am acting as Kage in my mother's place." The man looked at Naruto and asked, "How strong are you, truthfully, kid?" Naruto looked at the man and said, "If I were to guess, high Junin, if I go all out Chunin, if it's going to be a long fight, but that's just my opinion." The man thought and said, "I have an offer for you, Azumaki-sama. If you agree to become the new Raisenkage permanently, I will give you all the information I have on the other survivors as well as spread word to them to start to gather. Do you accept?" Naruto said, "I would accept, but I'm not just a ninja of Whirlpool. I'm also one of another village who is helping me find the ninja of Whirlpool. I owe them as much as I do my mother's homeland. Besides, there are others who would most likely be better as a Kage than me. I'm only around 9 years old." The man chuckled and said, "You must not know too much about your mother's homeland. Every Raisenkage of Whirlpool has been an Uzumaki. We elect the most powerful heir of the Uzumaki family to be the Raisenkage, and since I know both your uncles and Aunt SD, since you said only you and your cousin are alive, I see that you are most likely the stronger of the two Uzumaki, and so you are selected by default whether you like it or not, but the question is, will you accept the title and bring the people together, agent, or will you leave us to the wayside to be swept away by the tide?" Naruto said, "Would the people of Whirlpool be willing to follow the orders of the Kage of another village who I also represent as if they were my orders?" The man said, "If you follow the Kage, then we would follow also, as long as you followed that village." Naruto stood and said, "All right. Though I believe that the decision of all her people should be in this, I will take the title of the Raisenkage of Whirlpool." The man bowed and said, "Thank you, Juadaima-sama." Naruto scratched the back of his head and said, "Well, before we get into that, I would like to know your name." The man said, "Oh, forgive me, sir. My name is Haida Cry, and as I said before, I am a Chunin of Whirlpool." Naruto nods and said, "Well, it's nice to meet you, Haida. Now tell me, what do you know about our people?" Haida said, "Well, I know there are at least 120 survivors, though I only know the location of 30 ranging from Junin to Genin. In fact, a few are in this very village. Naruto thought and said, okay. Since I don't know how strong any of you are or how rusty you might be, I will give you all a chance. The village I am also a part of is Konoha, but don't let that information get out until after the exams. If you all wish to follow me, then head to Konoha, and when you get there tell the Hokage that Maelstrom is afraid of lightning. It's a code that he will know you are truly from me. I won't be in Konoha for a few years because I am hoping to find and gather more allies and our people. That's why I am here for the exams. Haida said, so you're in the exams, sir? Naruto said, yes, I'm in the finals. I'm using this event to both spread the word about Whirlpool, hoping to draw her people back to return, as well as draw the attention of Iwa to hopefully stall them. Haida asked, forgive me for asking, but how would you do that? Naruto's answer was to throw a kunia in the wall behind him and leave in a yellow flash, and said, by reminding him exactly who my father was and why I should be feared. I also plan to make an example in the exams also of why not to mess with our people. Haida, who was shocked seeing such a legendary technique used in his presence, could only nod, and Naruto thought a moment and said, you said that you know the location of 30. How long would it take you to get a hold of them? Haida thought and said, more than a month, sir. Naruto thought and said, that will work. Contact them all and tell them it's their choice to go or not. No one will judge them if they decided to start a new life somewhere. Haida said, of course, Raisenkage-sama. Naruto said, well, have a good day, Haida, and please just call me Naruto. I hate formalities. Haida said, of course, Naruto-sama. Naruto sighed and said, I suppose it's the best I will get. Just make those high 8 for me though. I'm going to need them, and I will pick him up before the finals, as he left the store with his high 8 back in his possession. Haida quickly closed shop and left. Naruto, when he got to his hotel room, quickly wrote out a message on a scroll and summoned Gamatachi. Gamatachi asked, what's up, bro? Naruto said, I need you to take this to Erozanen and have him give it to the Hokage. It's important. Handing him the scroll. Gamatachi nods and said, you owe me, before leaving in a puff of smoke. It took a few days for Naruto to get the return from the Hokage, but when he did, he went to see the Kazekage. When Naruto walked in the Kazekage office, he looked at Naruto and said, what is it you needed to see me about so urgently, Naruto? Naruto said, I came to tell you about a new development. As you know, I am representing Whirlpool in the exams, and the Hokage was kind enough to let me be sponsored by Konoha even though Whirlpool was destroyed. After the second part of the exams, I was contacted by some of the former Whirlpool ninja who have settled down and happened to have been here for the exams. They talked to me about why I was representing their village, and when I explained why, they asked me to become the official leader of Whirlpool. The Judium Raisenkage. I sent word to the Hokage and he said he would accept me in that position as long as I made a contract saying Whirlpool would ally with both Konoha and Suna. I have no problem with that. The Kazekage looked at Naruto and said, what about your allegiance to Konoha? Naruto said, I am still a ninja of Konoha. I only accepted the position if they would follow the orders of the village I was also from, and they said as long as I served the leader of the village they would also. The Kazekage thought and said, well, now I want an explanation. Why is it the Hokage had willingly let you represent Whirlpool instead of Konoha, and why now here in my village? Naruto said, is this room private? The Kazekage said, always. Naruto said, Konoha has received word Iwa is mobilizing agent for another great war. Currently they are hitting their new ninja in underground cities. We estimate that if they attack now both Konoha and Suna, we would be outnumbered 15-1 currently, and every day that number is going up. Since I can do my father's techniques as well as my other skills, the Hokage decided to use these exams to draw Iwa attention to me and have them chasing the ghost of Whirlpool as well as trying to track me down to stop me while both Suna and Konoha start preparing. My duties are to go and try to find any remaining Whirlpool ninja and have them join our side, as well as try to gain new alliances and possibly get missing nins also to join. If they joined under Whirlpool's banner, none of the villages they are from can go after Konoha or Suna, since neither village is actually accepting them. The Kazekage asked, why was I not informed of this already? Naruto said, the information only reached us a few months back and we had to confirm it before we alerted our allies. The Hokage was planning to inform you personally when he arrived this month, since it would not draw any unwanted attention since it was recently confirmed. The Kazekage looked at Naruto and asked, how many ninja can you get before Iwa will be ready? Naruto said, I believe I can get several hundred ninja as well as a few possible aliens. The Kazekage eyes got wide and said, how? Naruto said, my spy network is even better than Jiraiya's and I have gathered a lot of information on the actual situation inside others' villages and with the internal struggles going on in some of them I can aid one side who would be favorable to us and eliminate the opposition. It was thanks to these networks we found out about Iwa mobilization as well as the threat of Akatsuki that you heard. The Kazekage sat back in his desk and asked, so why inform me? Naruto said, I don't know who or how many of Whirlpool Ninja hid in your country during the fall of the village and I did not want you to believe it was something it was not as I told the ones who confronted me to spread the word to all those they knew of and head to Konoha. It will be easier for them to blend in there currently than it would in sooner. Also I believe when the time is right and Konoha gets enough we can also send some of them here to aid you in preparation as well. The Kazekage sat and said, so is this why you and my children have gotten together so well? Naruto said, no, we understand each other in ways no one else could. I understand Gaara because like him I am also a Jinchuriki so I know the pain he has gone through. I also understand the demand of being the children of a Kage though no one in my village knew this beside the Hokage until recently. We can relate to each other and through this we are able to get along and trust each other since that is something we value a lot. True trust. The Kazekage asked, which one do you have? Naruto said, Kyuubi. The Kazekage nods and said, I see. So that is why you're so strong. Naruto said, actually no. I only get a little chakra bonus from Kyuubi and Heaton senses. The reason I am strong is I have pushed myself to be stronger because I know where true strength comes from. The Kazekage asked, and that would be? Naruto said, tell me, if you were not the Kazekage and only had your family to look after and they found themselves in danger from say 30 Junin, would you find the strength to save them? The Kazekage thought and said, I believe so, why does that matter? Naruto said, true strength comes from when you are protecting something that is precious to you. History tells us of old women who have flipped entire wagons full of items to save a child who was trapped underneath. A farmer who killed an entire group of bandits to save his family. They realized what was precious and used everything they had to protect it. The Kazekage looked at Naruto for a few minutes and said, I see the people of Whirlpool have chosen someone wise beyond his years. So what is it you need that you needed to inform me of this? Naruto said, oh, I just need you to act as if the Raisenkage is someone different than me. I plan to get some robes made and have one of my Kazabunshin hanged under it to make it reasonable for the other nations to see. I also want a seat with the other Kage at the finals so that way I can make the Kage of Iwa and Cloud both think there are actually a full working government for Whirlpool right now. The Kazekage said, I see, plausible deception to invoke a response favorable to what you want. Was this all your idea? Naruto said, some of it was. When I informed the Hokage about the new situation he sent me word to notify you of all the information I could currently reveal without compromising ongoing missions. He then suggested the idea of another Kage at the exam to lead Iwa away from the real situation. The Kazekage nods and asked, what about Cloud? They always side with Iwa against us. Naruto smiled and said, I have something special planned for Cloud. Let's just leave it at that until the exams. Suna will not be affected in any way though I won't reveal what it is yet. The Kazekage said, what is your plans for the arrangement for you and my daughter? Naruto said, I still plan to marry her when we get older and depending on what happens in the meantime I will either be marrying her as a ninja of Konoha or a Kage of Whirlpool depending on how many actual survivors and what you, the Hokage, and I believe is best for the situation. Either way Suna and Konoha will both have a stronger alliance and also new income, and supplies. I also plan to have the Wind Lord increase the missions your country has in the near future to relieve the financial burden you're currently in. The Kazekage asked, how do you know about that? With narrowed eyes. Naruto said, it's pretty obvious that a lot of your ninja were advanced in posture to make your forces look larger than they are. I mean the Chunin you had follow me the first day I was here was so lousy at following that I could have been on the other side of the village before he even realized that something was wrong. In fact I had an entire meal with your children that Temari cooked before he even checked to see where I was. If you're going to fake your strength take some senior academy students, give them a headband and have some of the older genin dress like Chunin instructors who are just trying to let Thea students relax during the exams since most missions are cancelled anyways, and have all ninja on medical leave currently dress like Thea still active the entire time the honored guests are here. The Kazekage blinked and blinked again as he thought of this and said, you know, that's actually crazy enough to work. Naruto said, making people under and overestimate stuff is what I'm good at. The Kazekage said, alright, I will play along but it's up to you to make it reasonable. Suna is not involved in anything you do. Naruto said, deal, and when the Hokage arrives we will work out the details over the alliance. The Kazekage nods and Naruto leaves. The rest of the month went by quickly and finally the final guests were arriving. The Hokage looked at the group walking with him as he entered the gates to Suna. He was surprised at the ease that it was to get them as well as the additional members of the group. There was Hyuga, and both his daughters Hanabi and Hinata, his nephew Neji, as well as 20 members of the branch family as guards. A little away from them were the Inoshika Cho group along with their respective children. Beside them was Shibi and his son Shino. In the rear of the group was Inuzaku Chum and her daughter Hana as well as her son Kiba along with each of their respective companions. Anko, Kakashi, and 20 ABNU were all there as well for security since not only the Hokage but most of the clan heads of Konoha were present. Ibiki was currently acting as Hokage in his place. Apparently when word got around that Hiash was requested by the Namikaze heir to see the match in Suna, it made each of the clan heads wanting to also. The Hokage thought and realized it was political in effect as each of them realized that Naruto would most likely be the new political powerhouse for the vacuum that Danzo death had created. Several civilians had decided to retire early after his execution. The Hokage smiled as he saw the Kazekage standing at the gates waiting for them. His smile widened a little when he noticed another Kage standing next to him in full Kage robes with the kanji for Raisenkage on his hat standing there also. The Hokage said, hello Kazekage-san, it's good to see you again as well as to meet you Raisenkage-san. The Kazekage said, it's nice to see you as well Hokage-san. I am also surprised to see so many of the clans of Konoha have decided to join you on your journey. I hope it was a safe and pleasant one. The Hokage said, indeed it was, and once word got out that the Namikaze heir here specifically asked for the Hyuga delegation for the exams the other clans decided they wished to see as well. The Raisenkage, who looked the same height as the Kazekage and his voice sounded a lot older, said, it's a pleasure to see you Hokage-san. I trust that everything has been prosperous for you village. Just then Naruto walked up and he bowed to each of the Kages and said, it's a pleasure to see you Agent Hokage-sama as well as you Kazekage-sama, Raisenkage-sama. I would like to personally thank you all for coming, and for those of you who may not know me, I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. It is a pleasure to see the Hyuga clan as well as the Inuzuka, Aburame, Akamaiki, Nara, and Yamanaka clans as well. I am surprised that the Uchiha clan has not come along also, but with the recent events in Konoha I am sure it is for security reason that they did not come. However, Uchiha Itachi is here so he can represent his clan as the heir anyways. I hope I have time to meet you all personally before the exams, but since you all must be tired from your journey I would be honored to show you all to your hotel, as he bowed to everyone. The Hokage blinked processing what he heard and said, well Kazekage-san, Raisenkage-san, I believe that Namikaze-san here does bring up a valid point since it was a 3-day journey. The Kazekage said, yes, but I believe that you and the Raisenkage should come to dinner with me along with Namikaze tonight so we can finalize the arranged marriage between our villages. Everyone who was listening were all trying to figure out what was going on. Anko looked at Kakashi and both nodded before looking around, and Anko whistled as she laid eyes on the lake and said, so that's not a mirage, drawing everyone's attention. The Kazekage chuckled and said, no. Namikaze-san here was able to do that during the survival part of the exam. It was in fact how he was given my daughter's hand in marriage, since I told him if he caused a beachfront property to appear here in the 10 days of the exams he could marry her, and he did it in a few hours surprisingly. Right down to the salt water, making everyone wonder how he did it. The Hokage said, Naruto has always been a surprising individual. The Raisenkage said, quite literally. The Kazekage said, yes, his second exams was even more surprising when he created a 100-foot-tall tidal wave to knock out of the Chunin and Junin in the obstacle course. He has been nicknamed the Sealed Geyser by some of my men because of his ability to seal and use so much water at one time. Well, I would like to officially welcome you all to Suna now, and the Hotel Sandstorm is where I have placed all of Konoha members at, so please enjoy your stay. The Hokage said, thank you for welcoming us, agent, and yes, I agree to that. It will give me some time to rest from the journey. The Raisenkage said, yes, I will also meet you there, but I must be off to see to some matters before then. Hokage-san, Kazekage-san, honored guest, as he bowed and left, walking away toward the center of town. The Kazekage motioned to the guards and said, please escort him to the hotel with Namikaze here. The guards nods and said, this way please, as they started to lead the group. The Hokage thought, your little act even fooled me, Naruto. Inoki looked at Shikaku and whispered, so what do you think, old friend? Shikaku looked at the sky a moment and said, looks like we were right. Apparently Naruto will be the new political powerhouse, since he now appears to have Suna on his side, which is our primary ally currently. The fact we know of the possible threat of war from Iwa makes this an ideal situation for us to strengthen our bonds with them. However, the Raisenkage is another factor I never knew about. Inoki nods and Ino asked, how can someone so young be in the Chunin exams, father? He looks my age. Kakashi said, there are people younger than you, Ms. Yamanaka, that are stronger than me. Naruto just happens to be one of those people. It's a valuable lesson you should learn, and never underestimate your opponents. Inoki said, you're right, though I do not think Naruto is stronger than you, Kakashi-san. Kakashi said, you would be surprised, Inochi, as he read his Ica Ica Paradise book. Anko said, I wonder where the Konoha team is at. The Hokage, as he walked into the hotel, said, most likely resting since the exams are tomorrow. The receptionist at the desk said, welcome. Your rooms have already been prepared, and if you would just sign in and you may go ahead. Hiash asked, what about the hotel fees? The receptionist looked at Naruto, who nodded, and she said, our new owner Mr. Namikaze has said that all of the Konoha delegation are to be all allowed to stay for free during the exams, however room service is not. Chum looked at Naruto and said, how can you afford a nice hotel like this? Which drew chuckles from the Hokage, Kakashi, Anko, as well as the receptionist, who said, Mr. Namikaze is quite well of Muz, he is after all a world-famous author. Chum asked, what do you mean? I never heard of him publishing a book before, much less a world-famous one. The receptionist said, then you must not have read any of the Kitsune Hermit series, since Maelstrom is his penom. Hannah squealed and said, H is the author, in a fangirlish voice. Kiba asked, Mom, what's wrong with sis? Chum said, your sister is excited is all. I can't believe that he is the author of those books, or the fact my daughter seems to have gotten her hands on an adult book, as she looked at Hannah, who blushed. Naruto said, actually my gaining this business was not a result of my writing skills, but rather my ability to play poker. I wound up gaining 4 businesses here in Suna. Hiash asked, what is it you requested my clan for, if I may ask? Naruto said, well, as for why I requested you and your family is a simple matter. Something is going to happen tomorrow at the Chunin exams that is going to be of great interest to the Hyuga clan. I can't tell you yet what it is, but by the end of the day tomorrow you will find yourself extremely happy with the fate of the Cloud Village. I can't tell you anything else, but just come and be sure to get a good seat. It promises to be an event that could lead to the destruction of the Cloud Village, or at least the total humiliation of it, with a smile on his face. Kakashi looked at Naruto and asked, so how did you like my gift? Naruto said, oh, I believe that you will like the new addition to it. You will see it tomorrow. Inoki asked, Naruto-san, I was wondering if you could answer something for me. How is it you became so strong without anyone in the village finding out? Naruto looked at him and said, what makes you believe I am strong, if I might ask? You have not seen any of my skills, and none of you have any idea how much chakra I have. Hiash said, I assure you I do, as he activated his bloodline and said, what the hell? Naruto said, you like. It's a special seal I designed that neutralizes the ability of anyone to see or feel how much chakra I have. It also makes it where the Sharingan can't copy any of my jutsu. Hiash deactivated his eyes and said, I see. Naruto asked, so do you have an answer to why you believe I am strong? As he looked at Inoki. Inoki said, Bikasu, you're here for the Chunin exams. Naruto smiled and said, you know assumptions can lead to disaster on the battlefield. It's best to base off of proof than assumption. Anyways, I am sure you are all tired, and since it appears you all have your room keys, please enjoy your stay and have a great time at the exams tomorrow. I would be a more gracious host and all, but I have to get ready to meet the 3 cages to finalize the arrangements for the wedding. As he turned, Shibi asked, "What wedding, Naruto-san?" Naruto said, "Well, Suna, Konoha, and Whirlpool are wanting to strengthen the bond between the 3 villages, but all other information is restricted to those who are involved in the actual process, the cages of the village and those who are witnesses to the agreement. It's a way to ensure protection in each of those who are getting married villages." Ino asked, "Why would someone need protection from their own villages?" Naruto said, "That is something your parents will have to tell you when you're old enough to understand, Ino. I could tell you, but I don't believe you would understand now, and I think you should see with your own eyes the truth. Now, if you will excuse me, but I have pressing matters as well as to prepare for the exams." As he left toward the stairs, Ino huffed and said, "Who does he think he is? H is the same age as me and he can handle it." Inoiki looked down at his daughter sadly, as did a few of the other clan heads. Later that evening, the Hokage walked into the Kazekage tower and saw the Kazekage and Naruto sitting there, and he said after the door was closed, "What, no smoke and mirror act this time, Naruto? I'm hurt?" With a smile on his face, Naruto said, "Hey, you try pulling off a stunt like this and see if you can do it. Anyways, it's best if we get started." The Kazekage said, "I agree. Naruto here has informed me about Iwa build-up and the threat from this Akatsuki group in rain. I will take precautions after the exams." The Hokage nods and said, "We were lucky to get as much of a warning as we got. Hopefully we can prepare ahead and nobody will determine what's going on." Speaking of Naruto, what is your plans after the exams? Naruto said, "I got a lead on my last relative, but Shush is in another country, so I will be getting a guide to aid me in finding her there and then getting her out of there and back to Konoha. After that, I'm going to start doing what I do best, pissing people off." The Hokage nods and the Kazekage said, "So what exactly do we hope to gain from this arrangement?" The Hokage said, "I believe trading genin teams would be a way to increase our overall strength." Naruto said, "I believe what we should possibly start an advanced training group in both countries. Have say 30 chunin level ninja switch from each village for 6 months to a year at a time to not only make it harder for our enemies to get an actual count on us, but also a chance to learn new techniques for both villages. Also have those who trade wear a high 8 with both villages symbol to add more confusion to our enemies. It would also be a good way to work in the Whirlpool Ninja into each of the villages' ninja populace. I think we should also work on getting more medics for both villages. Possible try and get Suna to come back and start an advanced medic school for Genin and Chunin," as he looked at the other 2 in the room who looked dumbstruck. The Kazekage looked at the Hokage and said, "How old is this kid?" in a statement, not a question way. The Hokage said, "I know. He just basically outlined a way to not only to improve the abilities of each of our ninja but also to make more of our ninja combat ready." Naruto scratched his head and said, "Well, just think about it. The more our enemy does not know, the easier it will be for us to beat them. Also add the factor about how both villages only have say 20 doctors each who could handle any situation, and you realize that if war hit we will lose a lot of men just waiting for doctors to get to them." The Kazekage said, "I agree." The Hokage said, "I do as well." As so into the next few hours the Hokage, Kazekage, and Raisenkage all talked about the plans for the future. Finally the day of the exams arrived. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.